Okay, so we are on 4.1, where we're talking about parallel lines with transversals. So something happens when we have two parallel lines. So these are parallel, and that's how we mark them. And this line we call a transversal. So it's a line that cuts through two parallel lines. And we get different types of angles when that happens. So we get corresponding angles, and those are congruent. So this angle equals this angle. So corresponding is on the same side as the transversal, and they're congruent. And it can be lots of different ones. These are corresponding, and they're congruent. And then same thing on the other side, even. These are corresponding and they're congruent. So see how I'm on the bottom of the parallel line? And even this one, these are congruent and those are corresponding. So corresponding, same side of the transversal. Okay, our next one is alternate interior. So interior means inside. So we're only looking at angles inside the parallel lines. And again, they make congruent angles and they alternate. So this side is congruent to this side, alternate. And then same thing, this angle is congruent to this angle, alternate interior. So guess what the next one is? Alternate exterior. And we're only looking on the exterior of the parallel line, so out here. But it's the same thought process. We're alternate, so this angle is congruent to this angle. See how I'm alternating sides on the transversal? And same over here, this angle is congruent to this angle. Okay, supplementary means add to 180. And there's a lot, so any angles on a straight line. These are supplementary, those two. These two are supplementary, they add to 180. And same thing down here. These are supplementary, they add to 180. These add to 180. And then it goes the other way. These are supplementary and add to 180. So I want you to think any two angles on a straight line, if they're cut by a transversal, if they're on a straight line, they add to 180. Okay, vertical angles means angles across from each other. So these are vertical and they're congruent. Do you see how they're straight across from each other? These are vertical and they're congruent. Same thing here. Vertical, they're straight across, congruent. Straight across, congruent. And our last one is consecutive angles, and they're not congruent. Consecutive is like supplementary, they add to 180. And we're looking at, again, the interior. We see consecutive angles on the interior. So these two angles are consecutive, which means they add to 180 degrees. And it happens on the other side too. Consecutive, add to 180. So when we get into geometry, we have things that we call postulates and theorems. So there's things that have been proven that we know. So all of these angle identities that we just talked about, these are all theorems. They've been proven with parallel lines. And then postulates mean the same thing. There's just different wording in geometry. But all of these are over here are converse. And converse means we're using the angles to prove lines are parallel. And over here, we use the parallel lines to show the angles. So converse just means the other way. So it's the same thing. If we have consecutive angles, that means the lines are parallel. If we have corresponding angles, that means the lines are parallel. So these are similar to the ones you've already done. And you're going to need to know this vocabulary and how the angles work to do the problems in this section.